Hello everyone, I'm Rich Lamont. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. So, over the last couple of months, I've kind of been pretty involved with some pretty fancy flies and some difficult patterns, and I figured today I would dial it back a little bit and do something a little bit more simple, something you guys can take to the river and fish pretty easily, and also a subscriber request. Someone had asked that I do some Glasso flies, so I thought I would do the Orange Heron, which I guess is a pretty good pattern. I've never tied it, I've never fished it, but I've seen plenty of examples of it, and it's a pretty lovely looking fly, and should be fun to tie. So let's get right into it. I'm using a Daiichi 2051 size 3/0 hook, Veevus 12/0 thread in white. I've been using this Veevus quite a bit more lately, and I gotta admit, I really do like it. The Lagarden is nice. It doesn't get that thread twist that other threads get, but I think I like the Veevus 12/0 a little bit better. Alright, so the tinsel for this is oval tinsel. So I'm using a Veevus Large silver oval, and we're going to tie it in right next to this eye return here on the hook. And what that's going to do is help kind of reduce this the difference between the hook return, the eye return, and the shank of the hook. And then as we get towards the back, we'll just curve it up underneath the hook. And with this type of hook and this style fly, rather, we're going to stay forward of the hook point. That looks about right. Spey flies typically start much more forward of the hook point rather than behind the hook point like you see with more salmon flies. The flat tinsel that is on this, I'm using Danville's size 10 Mylar. This is double-sided, silver and gold, so you can use metal tinsel as well. Metal's obviously a little bit better, but this is relatively affordable and easy to use. So if you want it silver side out, then you want to have the silver side facing the hook shank when you tie it in. And we're tying it in so that way it's right next to that oval. So that way when you wrap it in later, the oval wraps on the back side of that that flat. The Hackles that I'm using is blue heron, or gray heron Hackles. You can substitute this with blue-eared pheasant if you like, but originally the pattern calls for heron, hence the name. So what we'll do now is strip back the shorter stuff down here by the base. We're just not going to use any of that, and frankly it's kind of in the way. And we'll get right up to the very tip in here. This would be considered like a medium to medium large-ish, but not a large heron feather. As far as like how far you want the hackle to go, a lot of examples that I've seen are either to the bend or just beyond the bend, as far back as half an inch or so. So that, I think, probably becomes down to tier's preference at that point. Alright, so you get up to the tip on these heron hackles, and since I'm framing this fly and not fishing it, I'm going to do 2 heron hackles. I want it to be a bit thicker and have a little bit more presence. I'm just trying to see if I can get a little bit farther into up to the tip. When you're working with heron, you got to be very careful. The closer to the tip you get, the more delicate it is. And I'm also tying it so that first barb that comes off of the stem there, where I tie it in, that first barb is right at the tie off or tie in point. And then I'm going to grab another and do just the same. This one might actually be more considered more towards the large end. Should look nice though. Should be nice and full. Okay. So now we've got those tied in. Get all them hackles to stay back a bit. Alright, so we'll do that as best we can. And then we're going to wrap up. I'll just tie it all in. I'll fold these back. The rear 2/3 of this fly on the body is orange silk. So I'm going to be using Ovale silk. Pardon me. So we're going to tie that in. I'm using it on the bobbin. It'll just be much easier this way. And then this heron just wants to get right into everything. Okay. And then I'm just going to do a whip finish up here, get this out of the way. And we'll deal with that later. Now, you can use your left hand to hold that heron out of the way. And we'll just lay down our orange. Rocking it back and forth like this helps kind of flatten that silk out, get the fibers to kind of intertwine with each other, settle in between the thread wraps. This silk is nice because it's it's nice for things like this because it's thicker, so it'll pile up a little bit better. And you can get a nice thick body out of it. Now if you notice your silk starts getting a little bit out of control and it starts to spread apart a bit more, you can always twist it up. Yeah, see how it's starting to spread apart there? What you can do is you can take it, and I always twist counterclockwise, but you can just do that and even once and it will spread right back out, or tighten right back up again, and then you can continue on. I like to go a little bit extra and go beyond where we would normally tie off at, and go back over that. Just back wrap a little bit more. Now you can, if it's a fishing fly, obviously you don't have to. You can burnish your silk. That's already pretty smooth, so I don't really see much need to burnish it. So now we'll take the flat tinsel first. And we'll wrap that in the normal direction. Oh, am I kidding? Almost forgot the pig's wool up front, or the seal's fur up front. The front third of the body, orange seal's fur. Getting ahead of myself. Alright, when you're dubbing your bodies, I always like to twist in one direction. You can either lick your fingers and get your fingers just a little bit wet, and right when they get to that kind of tacky point, use that to get it to stick. I just kind of got it, so I know how to, I figured it out that I can get it to wrap pretty good without having to wet my fingers or anything. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of wax, but I've kind of got a little bit of way of doing it that it dubs on pretty good. Some guys have a little sponge and a little dish next to their desk that they'll use to wet their fingers a little bit. And try that, and just use a little spit. I imagine you can probably use some sort of dubbing wax, but it's really not that necessary. Okay, now we can take the flat tinsel. We're going to go 5 turns, so typically about 3 turns back on the silk. And we got like 2 good turns up front. Okay, now we'll wrap the heron. We're going to wrap this backwards, we're going to reverse wrap it and palmer it back as we do. You really want to be careful with the heron, especially at this stage when you're wrapping. Sorry for bumping that camera a bit, but just take your time with it. It's not a race. You gotta be patient. Make sure everything goes the way you want it. If something's not going for you, there's a reason. You gotta figure out what that reason is. You shouldn't really have to fight things. I think my tinsel is trapped right where it's at. Okay, now we've got to take the oval tinsel and weave that through here, and we're going to follow the flat tinsel. Just once again, take your time. Use your dubbing needle. Your bodkin, that can be your best friend in this situation here. There we are. Now that tinsel will hold all that down nice. And it should be able to withstand the river or anything a steelhead can throw at it. Of course, the likelihood of this one ever seeing a steelhead or a river are slim to none, but you never know. And as usual, use junk scissors on your tinsels. Those tinsels are metal sheath, and they'll destroy a good pair of scissors. Okay, now the throat hackle is Teal. So what I've done here is taken a teal feather and stripped all of the one side. That's all the right side. And then what we'll do is we'll come up here to the tip. And we'll tie that in. Fold it back. And that just kind of locks that in place, so when you're wrapping it, you don't have to worry about it slipping out of there. The reason I stripped the one side is wrapping both sides can kind of give you that look of you know, your feathers kind of all over the place. You get some hackle going one direction, some hackle going another. And this way it kind of keeps it a little bit more directional. And if you want your throat to be a little bit thicker, you can always tie in another teal feather, which I think I'm going to do. So again, I'm just stripping one side. And I'll just wrap this one like I did the one before. I'm actually going to pull those and tie it off there. Just because the rackus is getting kind of thick on that, and I think that's plenty. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of wax to the head. This pattern calls for between 2 and 3 pair. Oh man. That's the only problem I've got with this 12-0. I always want to pull too tight with it. sorry, that one was bothering me. The pattern calls for between 2 and 3 pair of Hackles, orange Hackles. So I've got, instead of using saddle hackle, I'm using neck hackle. And I've got 3 pairs here, all lined up. Now, I'm thinking as far as wing size, from all the examples that I've seen, it looks like the wing should just about be able to fit inside the space below the hook and just mount it above the hook. So it's a little bit, actually a little bit shorter than the bend, almost like this is kind of being framed out by the hook. I think that seems to be the most common way of tying it in. So that's what I'm going to shoot for. I'm going to try to strip all 6 and see if I can get all 6 to sit together. Though I'm not entirely hopeful here. Alright, let me go off screen real quick and do this, and then I'll be back with you in a second. Alright, so I pushed all this down a little bit more. I've kind of got these now, 6 of them, about where I think they should go. Maybe a little bit still long. I think I've got them all organized, at least in my hands, where they'll stay together. I've actually had these on here a couple of times, just trying to size them up, and kind of gone back and looked at some other examples. Okay, so I think this is about the right size. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I like that. I'm just going to leave it. Alright, so I'll hold on to these tight. Snip them nice and short. Okay. I'll throw a little extra wax on the thread. Not a lot, I don't want clumps of it. I definitely want it thicker. Cauterizer. Just swapping out the battery here real quick. If you guys don't have a cauterizer, I suggest you get one. If you don't know what one is, it is this here. Basically this just has a filament on the end that heats up, and you can really get those fine little threads and stuff that get in the way, that are kind of hanging out. Instead of trying to fight with them, you can just burn them. Okay, so we've got a little wax on the front here. We'll build up a little bit of a head. Of course, there's more. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to use a small, very small amount of Sally Henson's. And I'm going to let that just kind of soak in a little bit. I was thinking of doing a whip finish. Yeah, I'll just whip finish it. And I'll just use my orange Danville thread. I'm not a fan of this. This is 210 denier. Denier. Excuse me. But it's the right color, so and it starts to slide a bit. I don't like about it. It slides and it kind of bundles up, bunches up. And I'll do a whip finish of this here. I'm going to put a little more Sally Henson's. And a little bit on the thread. Another coat. And this one I'll let it sit a bit, and then I'll do another coat later on. But that's it. That's the completed Orange Heron Spey fly. See if I can get those hackles to line up just a little better for the end of the video. There we go. A dandy little fly. I've also seen it tied many different colors, so you can take this and kind of run with it and take it to your favorite steelhead waters, and I'm sure have great success. Pardon me. If you like the video, let me know. Leave it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of it. If there's something that you guys saw that I could have done differently, because I know I'm sure some of you out there are more familiar with this pattern and these types of flies than I am. Leave some comments. Let me know what I can do to better it. I will be making more of these videos and tying more of these style flies, so I'd like to know what I can include in them. And if there's patterns you'd like me to see me tie, shoot me a message. Leave it in the comments. I'll be happy to get to it. I think this one's going to have to go. Okay, sorry about that. So, anyways, yeah, leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Leave your post notifications on. I'm going to have more videos coming out every week. I've got a pretty big project I've been working on, and a pretty cool fly. I think you guys are going to like it. That one I'm slowly working on, so that one will probably be out sometime next week. But that being said, hope you guys have yourselves the wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Tight lines, everyone.